Hey everybody, my name's Christina Marbury. You might recognize me from some of the other Learn with Oneupweb sessions. I'm a senior project manager on our content marketing and SEO team here at Oneupweb. Today we're going to chat a little bit about what we like to refer to as quick and dirty keyword research, which is really just, how to get down to the point and find the keywords you need for whatever page it is you're working on optimizing on your site. So, we're going to chat a little bit about what makes a great keyword. We're going to cover short tail and long tail keywords, help you understand keyword volume, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how we can use keyword research to actually drive strategy on our website. All right, first of all, what makes a great keyword? People will regularly talk about the fact that you need to do keyword research. It's really important. Yes, we want to make sure we're targeting keywords that have volume, but it's about a lot more than just how many people are searching for a given phrase. We want to focus on keywords that are relevant to your business by focusing first on whether the keyword itself makes sense for the brand. So you want to make sure that it's something that really fits your brand, fits the way you like to talk about your brand, while also being something people are actually searching for. We want to make sure that all the keywords that we use have the appropriate intent. So if a keyword is more focused on making a purchase, something like red running shoes. People are probably looking to buy a pair of red running shoes if they're searching for that. Whereas, if we're writing a blog about how to clean red running shoes really isn't a great keyword for that blog because the intent is to make a purchase rather than figure out how to clean those shoes. So we want to look at more than just volume because that short tail red running shoes keyword probably has a lot more volume than something more specific to exactly what we're talking about. But when we target those keywords that have the perfect intent for the content that we're writing, we're more likely to be providing a great user experience by targeting those keywords. And then finally, competition. This can be really important, especially if you're working on a website that isn't really established within the industry. If you try to target keywords that have a lot of competition for them, it's going to be much harder for you to gain those higher ranking positions on the SERP. So we want to think about, some keywords that fit the competition that's appropriate for the website that we're using them on. I started to mention this, but then realized you might not know what it is yet. Short tail versus long tail keywords. This is kind of a way that we like as SEOs to think about the keywords that we're targeting. Over on the left side of this graph, we have what we would consider short tail keywords. Those are things that have really high search volume. They're really broad in terms of their search intent, and they're usually a lot more competitive. And then we work kind of on this continuum over to the long tail keywords. There's definitely some in the middle, often referred to as the chunky middle. But long tail keywords are looking into those things that have, a much longer string of words often. They usually have lower search volume, but much more specific intent. So long tail keywords can be really good for us, even if they don't have that massive search volume. If they have the perfect intent for our page, we're more likely to be able to rank for them. They can be a really good choice to use. We talked, a little bit about volume there when it comes to short tail versus long tail keywords. Just to reiterate, it's really interesting when we do keyword research. The tools that we use tell us, on average, how many people might be searching for a keyword in a given month. Usually they look at a year or 5 years of data and pull that average monthly search volume, which is what they report out on. I find it super fascinating because you learn a lot about how people people are actually searching, what people are searching for. Sometimes it's a little shocking. You never know what you might find in those keyword research tools, but it really helps us to better understand our industry, to learn exactly how users are searching about our products, which, it can be sometimes rather surprising that people are searching in a much different way than we're talking about our business. So we always want to make sure, we find those keywords that people are actually using. And then I always like to remind people, when it comes to search volume, bigger isn't always better. This can be a hard pill to swallow. You often see those higher volume keywords and want to immediately try and target them. But again, we really want to focus on intent and focus on finding those keywords that are really relevant to what we're writing about, but also have some search volume. So kind of finding that good balance. So these are a few different ways that we tend to use keyword research to really drive what we do with a website's content. The first one is helping to organize website navigation and your sitemap. We like to create what we call keyword research informed sitemaps, and that means that we're considering what people are actually searching for when we decide what we include in our navigation of our website. So doing that research before you start the process of setting up your navigation can be really helpful. And that kind of plays into the next piece, which is deciding on service pages to include on your site, or product pages, whatever type of business you might be. You can really determine what specific services related to your business people are searching for, and that can really help to drive what kind of service pages you want to include on your website. If you just have one overarching page that is appliance repair and it's supposed to target everything involved in appliance repair, you're not very likely to drive as much traffic to your site. Whereas if you have pages broken out for refrigerator repair, oven repair, all of the specific services that you offer that people are searching for, you're going to drive a lot more traffic to your site. The next one, keyword research is definitely important for creating a content plan for your blog. We really think that blogging for businesses can be a great way to, increase your brand's awareness of your brand out in the marketplace, and also to help drive traffic to your site, whether or not people are immediately ready to convert, or they're just, getting that awareness piece. So they know that you're out there, and when the time comes that they need your brand, they'll think of you, or you'll come to mind. We can use keyword research to identify content gaps. You can compare the keywords that your website is ranking for to the keywords that a competitor's site is ranking for, and identify, what keywords that competitor is ranking for that we don't have any content on, which really helps us identify those places where we need to beef up the content on our site. And then finally, to optimize existing content. This is often a first step. It maybe should have been higher up on the list, but it's always a good idea to revisit the content that you have on your website, do some keyword research around the topic, and figure out where you might need to tweak your content to better target the keywords that people are actually searching. Next, we're going to chat about some tools that we like to use in order to do that keyword research. There are a ton of tools out there. I'm going to focus in these first few slides on SEMrush and some of the pieces of SEMrush that we find really helpful. But there are a lot of other paid tools out there that you can use for keyword research as well. We found, and a lot of other people within the industry tend to really trust SEMrush, and we think it offers a really good kind of broad array of services that are helpful. And they do have some free options as well. You can do a limited number of searches every day with a free account. So SEMrush's main keyword research tool is their keyword magic tool. When you type a keyword into it, it gives you a ton of information related to that keyword. So it gives you, any level of closely or less related terms with the broad match, phrase match, exact match, and related categories. You can kind of dig into things that are really similar to that keyword that you inputted to try and find some other ways that people are searching for a similar phrase, or if you move into that related tab, you're going to get a broader array of keywords that are related, but sometimes a little bit harder to dig through because there's often more information there. And they also let you sort by all keywords and question keywords, which is super helpful when it comes to creating blog topic ideas, because questions are often great keywords to use for blog topics. The other main part of SEMrush's keyword research tools is their keyword overview, which is really kind of more of a broad level piece. So if you put a keyword into the keyword overview tool, it's going to give you more specific information about that individual keyword, the volume, the keyword difficulty, which is on a scale of 0 to 100. Their trend throughout the year, when that keyword might be trending more often, and then it breaks down the beginning of some of the things that the keyword magic tool will give you, but it doesn't go nearly as in depth. But you can click from this keyword overview over to the keyword magic tool if you want to dive a little bit deeper. And then another tool that we find really helpful in SEMrush is their keyword gap tool. So this is what we use to try and identify content gaps on our website. Like I was talking about, you can compare the keywords that you rank for to the keywords that a competitor ranks for. And here we have an analysis of our Oneupweb website to another agency's site. And you can see that we're ranking for a lot more keywords than they are. And there is a little bit of overlap, but we really kind of live in these two separate spheres when it comes to the keywords that we're ranking for. So there probably is a lot of opportunity of things that they are ranking for that we could create or optimize some content around. So outside of SEMrush, looking at some other tools online that are really helpful when it comes to keyword research, Google Trends is an awesome tool provided by Google that lets you look at how keywords are searched over time. So you can see, over a long period of time, you can get a sense if there's some seasonality to a keyword, which can help you plan out when you want to launch content. So you're launching it just before or right around when that keyword is really trending. It's definitely, keywords like air conditioning are going to trend in the summer and not in the winter, whereas some keywords might be pretty consistent across the year. It really just depends what you're looking at. Another fun one when you're trying to kind of create some good content ideas and you're feeling a little bit stuck is Answer the Public. You can put in a really broad topic and search for it, and it gives you a really good overview of lots of different questions and thoughts and things to think about around that one topic. So I definitely recommend that one if you're feeling a little bit stuck in terms of trying to decide what content might be best. We also love just using the Google SERP to try and find some other keywords, related keywords to whatever it might be that we're thinking about. So you'll often see this people always ask box that pops up when you do a search. Those questions that are in the people also ask box can be really good keywords to target. It can give you some really good ideas about things that users are searching for that are related to a general topic. So keyword research might be something that you have as a really broad topic on your page, but getting into more specific, something like how do you start keyword research, can give you, some more targeted things to think about writing. There's also these additional keywords that are usually down at the bottom of the page when you're on the Google SERP, the related searches. That can be another good place to find some related keywords that people are definitely using. We always assume, if these things are on the SERP, then they're keywords that are out there and people are using them. So if you don't have access to a tool that gives you keyword data, this can be a nice way to get some ideas of what people are actually searching for. So the key takeaways from this training: always do the research. Keyword research is a really valuable part of expanding the reach of your website. And if you don't do it, then it's really difficult to optimize your site. I know that keywords used to be more of like a stuff every single keyword you can possibly find onto your page. And I think people almost thought they were more important in that old version of SEO. But they still are really important. We don't need to stuff them in our writing, but we do definitely need to consider what people are searching when we consider our strategy for our site. Which leads us right into create your strategy. You should really let that research drive your strategy rather than kind of just focusing on whatever gut feeling you have about what content should be included on a site. And then finally, use those available tools. There's lots of free and paid tools out there that help you make sense of keywords, understand who's ranking for what keyword, or how much volume, or the trend, all of those things. There is a lot out there that can help you with keyword research. Just make sure to use those tools. Thanks for joining our quick and dirty keyword research training. Hopefully that gives you a good start when it comes to doing some keyword research. And don't forget to go and take our quiz while you're at it.